Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in for another interesting deep dive of an episode. As in this week's episode, we're talking about channeling spirit. Also in this week's show, we have the channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdoms and communications through. And then later on in the show, we'll have this week's energy forecast reading that will hopefully help you navigate your way through the twists and turns of this week ahead. Like I say, we're going to be talking about today channeling spirit. So first of all, let's dive deep. What is channeling spirit? Well, basically, it comes in many forms. In trance mediumship, you can be channeling even if you don't even realize you're channeling in your day-to-day life. So basically what it is a blending of frequencies where your guard is down either by intention or by an opportunity, and a spirit being or frequency or energy can blend with your vibration and bring through information that you have no knowledge about or even reference about. They can bring it through, and it can come through either in a trance session or, like I say, it can come forward when you're just having a conversation. So let's dive even deeper with this. So with channeling and doing trance mediumship, you have to definitely be aware of your lifestyle. And what I mean by that, anything that causes chaos, that brings a negative vibration into your life, whether that is through connections, whether that is through the food that you consume, the media that you watch, the books that you read, and all of these other facets, you have to be monitoring all of those, because that could have an impact on your vibration, which in turn will lower the frequencies, which also in turn you will find it harder to blend and get that connection with spirit, because you have all of this mismatch of vibrational content that's already happening in your vibration. So you will have to be monitoring your vibration on a daily basis. And by doing this, you'll know when you need some time out for healing. You'll know exactly when you need to maybe back off from certain connections in your life, when you need to change your lifestyle, maybe more exercise, because let's face it, we are a vessel, and spirit are using our vessel, our physical body, our energy body, as a host for the period of time that we set those intentions and allow them to come forward in. And so for this being the case, you will need to keep your physical vessel in tip-top form to get those great connection. So you really have to be looking after yourself, maybe doing exercise, walking, breath work, meditation work, just to get everything balanced and in alignment so that you can get these connections through. I would also suggest that while you are channeling spirit or working with spirit to this magnitude in trance work, that you have an understanding already of your, your spirituality, your connection to your spirit guides, also a discipline with meditation, a discipline with setting boundaries, and that you've built those firm foundations before you even begin to pursue doing channeling or trance mediumship work, because it is taking your mediumship to the next level. And if you're not already, I would say, familiar with, your spiritual development, then some of the interactions that you have and experiences that you have could shock you, because they can feel quite unusual, quite bizarre, quite freaky if you've never done this sort of work before. So At least having that firm foundation behind you will get you prepared, not only vibrationally, but mentally, physically, and it will remove those blocks from you to enable this work to flourish and grow. But when you do reach that plateau in your life, shall we say, where you do feel the need and you feel spirit around you all the time and they're encouraging you, and when I say they, I'm talking about your main spirit guide and your helpers, not just any old spirit that's saying, come on, let me in, let me in. That would be a definitive no from me. You know, I only take the guidance and instructions from my spirit guide. So any other rogue spirit I would not trust and I would not allow. Simply because I have built that strong bond up with my spirit guide and my team for many, many years now. And they've always been there. Their support is second to none. And it's always on the ball. And they're always there to help, guide and inspire and also protect as well. So I just wouldn't, like I say, accept any spirit saying, come on, let me in. That would be a definite no from me. But to enable you to progress and grow, if you're wanting to do this type of work with spirit, is to set aside a regular time for spirit and yourself to make this blend in frequency, to connect, and so that both parties can align. And once they have that, and once you have set that in your weekly schedule, then this is where spirit will blend, will enhance that connection. Your guard will be down, that resistance will be down of yours, and you'll just relax into it. And I would say that that is one of the main keys in order to do trance mediumship or channeling, is to, once you've done all the firm foundation work that I spoke of earlier, and you've got that trust and that protection behind you, then it's about trusting, relaxing into it, and just going into that safe space, that comfortable safe space, and simply allowing yourself to rest there. Why spirit come forward and deliver the information that they need to in that trance session. So it's about building up a level of blends with frequencies, building up that level of trust as well, and also maintaining respect at all times. So if your guides are telling you, right, for you to sit in trance, you need to have this person there, you need to have low level lighting, or you need to have this, listen to what they're telling you. And I say spirit, I'm referring to your main spirit guide. You know, don't take guidance from somebody, a passerby in spirit that's giving you all this. Listen to your main guidance system. That is the key to doing this. So let's talk about setting some intentions. So first of all, you've got to know in yourself what you're willing and what you're not willing to experience in these sessions. There's many mediums out there that are quite open to working with physical mediumship, and this is where a spirit either manifests, overlays over the trance medium and brings their form, changes the face of the medium. They can also do direct voice, so they create a voice box out of ectoplasm. They can also manipulate and move objects in the room and create this ectoplasm that is used in order to do that. They can manifest different body parts, even faces, heads, again out of the ectoplasm. And physical mediumship, that is another level in itself, because the amount of discipline involved to get to that level, there's lots of conditions to consider, because it has been said, because the work is so sensitive, when the ectoplasm comes, an ectoplasm is a form of, I would say, it's almost, they say it comes from the physical body, and it projects through the medium's either nose or mouth in order to come forward, and the spirit beings use that and manipulate that substance in order to manifest and move things. That's what is said anyway, and I've witnessed this happen as I've watched other mediums do it. And anyway, my point being is there has to be control conditions, no lighting, no mobile phones. Everybody has to remain silent until they're invited to speak. Because it's said that, if someone was to put a light on, or something like that, that could in turn affect the ectoplasm, which would then in turn go back into the medium and can cause some physical harm, really serious physical harm to the medium. So that's a different episode in itself, talking about the physical trance mediumship. But anyway, with this style of channeling and trance work, setting intentions is paramount. So knowing what you're wanting to achieve, what you're willing and not willing to accept, and then keeping and sticking to it, having that discipline, like we say, setting aside time once a week or whenever you choose for you and spirit to blend. And don't go into this half-heartedly. So what I mean by that is, like, 1 week you're like, oh yeah, I'm all guns blazing, and nothing happened in that trance mediumship, and you lose interest and you think, oh, I'm not doing that next week. No, you have to keep up the work. The reason being is because even though, sometimes things aren't happening as you would perceive them, behind the scenes, those frequencies are being matched. That healing is being given to you. Those energy blocks are being removed, and all of the conditions are being put in place for you to progress and bring forward spirit and channel spirit and energy. So there'll be some sessions that you will sit in and you'll think, well, that wasn't very good. Nothing happened. Nobody came through. I didn't feel anything. I just felt really relaxed. And like I say, I would suggest that what is happening is this behind the scenes work with energy, with vibration and cleansing. So it's all about subtle progressions. And so keeping to these regular time slots, keeping that discipline and keeping that momentum moving forward, and it will move forward. So you will have to have a strong level of respect for the process. And like I say, set some healthy boundaries and maintain that discipline. So even if, you may not feel up for it 1 week, you've got to keep that discipline, keep it moving forward, and things will progress in a beautiful way. So let's talk about spirit overshadowing us, because I'm sure many of you that are listening to this right now have had experiences in your life where you're having a conversation with maybe a friend or a complete stranger, and then the next minute you're looking at that person as you're talking, and you notice their facial expressions change and morph, and they're looking at you funny, and you're looking at them and you're not thinking anything of it. And anyway, the next minute they say, why did you say that? And you would say what? Why? What did I say? You said blah, 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 and you came out with these words and this information. And then you would say, did I? I can't remember saying that. I said that. Yes, you said that just 2 minutes ago. I would say this is a form of spirit overshadowing you and bringing forward information that maybe that person you were speaking to needed to hear that information, needed to hear those words, needed that healing at that moment in time. Just have a think about that. I know I've been in many, many situations where I've had this experience, and the people I've been talking to would say, well, why have you said that? And I said, well, I can't remember saying it. And they said, the reason why I ask it is like either my dad or my granddad, he used to say those words quite a lot, and he used to talk about that you've just spoken about. Oh, right. Really? Did he? And I would suggest to you that at that brief moment in time, because you're a light worker, because you're a vessel of light, that your guides, your inspirers have granted permission for that person's either father or late grandfather to come forward and give them a little message directly through you, using you as a vessel, as a channel, to instill that healing and maybe help that individual on their pathway without you even realizing. So that's happened to me quite a lot over the years. And, I feel very honored, very blessed when it does, because obviously they see the energetic alignments, they see the opportunity. Your guides permit, should I say, they grant permission for that experience to happen. And it's very much a win-win-win case scenario with that happening. But nevertheless, it won't happen to everybody, just because all the vibrations have to come into alignment, and there has to be a vast amount of permissions that have been agreed on upon that occurring behind the scenes from Spirit. But Spirit will take the opportunity, if they can, to speak through you. And like I say, this could be in day-to-day conversations. Maybe your timeline in your own life is heading down maybe a track that isn't beneficial to your soul agreement. And so you're in a conversation with somebody that instantly, with that conversation, changes the course of your timeline, either moves you away from that person, that job, something of that nature. And it will be because of something that you've said, or knowing to you, something that Spirit have brought through you to say, to again put you in alignment on your soul's path. So I've also had that happen to me a few times, and you don't realize it's happening at the time. You're just having a conversation and the words are flowing, and before you know it, you don't remember what you've said until somebody relays back to what you have just been talking about. And it's quite phenomenal when it does happening, and you kind of shake your head and think, really? That came through me? Really? I said that? This potentially is what is happening behind the scenes. Don't be alarmed. Don't be frightened. Your guides, your gatekeepers will only allow those of a highest vibration that will help, that will heal, to come through you. It's only if you haven't done the discipline work that I spoke of in the beginning of this. So, that lifestyle change, monitoring who you hang around with, what your interests are, the content that you watch, and all of these things. It's if you're not doing that work, then there is that opportunity for lower level spirits to come through you. So it really does pay you to do the work prior to doing any channeling, or indeed allowing Spirit to blend with you, definitely. The way that Spirit work through me, as I'm sure most of you listening to this and regular listeners are aware of, is in many miraculous ways. One of them is obviously public speaking, or even doing these radio shows to some extent, because I've had family members and friends comment and say, "Oh, I listened to your show the other week, and that was really interesting." And they've said, "I really enjoyed the show, but what does surprise me is the amount of words that you come out with, the dialogue that you come out with." And these people know me. They've known me for years, and they say, "And you come out with these words, and I've never heard you use that word before." And I would suggest that this is Spirit blending with me and working through me to deliver this information, this content that will inspire, help, heal, guide people along the way. So I've had that happen to me quite a lot of times there, and a lot of people are starting to notice this. Also, I do a regular conversation, a regular live over Facebook, and this occurs every Monday. And during these conversations, all of the information that we speak of on there is inspired by Spirit. So I sit in the power and I allow the content to come through. I take some bullet points and I take that with me to the conversation, the live conversation. I have that as a rough guide, so that, we know where we're heading with the conversation and we don't sort of go too off the beaten track, so to speak. And anyway, as I'm doing these live conversations, what I do find is I'm glancing over at the bullet points And there may be 2 or 3, maybe a line of keywords. And I use that as a, shall we call it, a springboard to start the conversation rolling. And once I start that conversation rolling, I have no idea what I'm about to say next. Not one iota, only that one line of communication. And the next minute, all of these words are coming forward, all of these analogies, these suggestions, these healings, this guidance is coming through me. And I'm just calm in that safe space online. I'm feeling at bliss. I'm feeling the surge of energy coming in from Spirit's influence. And I'm merely just allowing, blending and communicating and allowing this information to come through me. So that is another example how Spirit can work through you. And some of the conversations that they bring forward are very engaging, very helpful, very healing. So if you're not aware of this work that I do, then please come and join me every Monday on my Facebook page, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. And it's usually around 11 a.m. UK time, GMT time. And that's for 1 hour. So come and join me and you'll be able to witness what I'm talking about with you today as it happens live. What I also find is Spirit, they inspire and speak and guide me through, like I say, the public speaking, through the books that I write. I say I write because it is a collaboration with Spirit and myself. And again, they mention about a certain book that I need to bring forward, and this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And so I listen, I take notes, and I just sit in the peace and I sit in that presence. And the next minute, the content comes forward and I simply allow the content to come forward in the form of a book. And it's amazing when it comes forward because I have no idea. My mind is blank. I have no idea what I'm meant to be saying or coming through. I just simply trust and I relax and I get into that state of, I would say, equilibrium, balance, blending. Spirit also come forward, and I've mentioned this a few times now. When I'm playing, recording or performing music, and most commonly it happens, as you know, I'm a drummer and a singer. And there was times when I was in a particular band some years ago and I wouldn't remember the set. And I'd be like, Spirit, I'll be driving on my way to the gig, all my equipment in the back. And I'm like, Spirit, I really need your help today, please. Can I ask for a drummer in the world of Spirit to come forward, blend with me and make sure that we have a very great gig with all of the songs played perfectly. And if you'd like to come forward with a drum solo, that would be amazing, please. And so I've done that before. And anyway, I turn up at the gig. We never had a set list. And the singer would turn around and he would say, right, we're doing this song. And in many respects, he would read the crowd, the energy in the crowd. And he would pick up the vibe and we would base the set list. And we had, I say a set list, we had a bank of songs of around 4 hours to choose from. So in his mind, he would match those songs with what the crowd feedback was bringing forward. And so, I was like, oh, how do I play that song? And I just trusted. I relaxed into it. The first chord, or when it was said what song we were doing, I'd click in with the time signature and I trusted and away we went. And time after time, Spirit always delivered. They brought either a drummer through, they brought the information through, and many a time I would be sat there watching my arms and legs moving to the music. And I'm like an observer thinking, how the heck am I doing this? I can't even remember this song. And yet my arms and legs are in perfect timing, bringing forward that performance for that particular gig. So I've had that happen many, many, many times. In terms of the studio work that I do, I've also had it where, I'm creating and composing music using keyboards and various different programs and things. And I have no idea what I'm going to come up with on that session. and I get a time signature locked in, and I relax into it. And the next minute I hear a tune in my head, and that tune in my head's come from nowhere. And then the next minute I put my hands to the keyboard and my hands are replicating the tune in my head. And then I record that down. And what amazes me is then there's another part that comes in. So I have to create another track, a different instrument. And then I lay that track down. And I'm amazed how it comes through. It's like, I had no idea. I went in there with a blank canvas, not thinking about anything. And all this information comes through. And I would suggest that this is obviously from spirit. It's inspired. The healing, the guidance, the information is all coming through in that fashion. And it does come forward as well, like I say, the overshadowing, the channeling, when I'm doing presentation work as well, like I said, public speaking, either online or in person. When I'm doing events as well, sometimes I go to these events, I'm like, okay, don't know these people, what am I going to say? And I just take that big, deep breath. I trust, and the next minute the words just flow through me. And I'm like, whoa, thank you. Thank you so much. I had no idea that was going to come out. And then, as you may know, I do teach spiritual development online as well. And this, similar to the talks that I do, is pre-planned. So they give me an agenda, what each class is going to be. They inspire me and bring forward the information that we need to share and teach with the students. And then, again, like the conversations I have live, it happens where I have the bullet points, I sit back, I relax into it, I trust, and then I deliver the information, and I'm given additional information, guidance and support to help the students with their spiritual gifts and abilities to expand them in a comfortable online environment. And it amazes me each time how this happens. Our spirit are so close. They're overseeing everything. They're guiding everything. And this beautiful interaction between us where we allow, give and receive, and we allow this information to come forward. So there's a few examples there, how I experience channeling. And as you know, I also do the trance mediumship that you have heard on the show right from the get-go of the show's conception. And so let's talk a little bit about that. But before we do that, learn to trust and let go. Obviously, when you've built up that relationship with your spirit guide, your spirit team, because they see the bigger picture. They know of all the ingredients, the frequencies, the blending, the blocks, the healing that's required, and how long they can retain their energy and information through us in this dimension of time. So trust the process. Okay, obviously, once you have that grounding and establish that firm foundation with your initial spiritual development, like we said, talking about getting to know your chakra systems, your spiritual gifts and abilities, having that connection with your spirit guides and helpers on a regular basis, and obviously having that discipline of meditation and observing your life, getting that diet right, not just food, but media, the friends and all of that, then this will really, really come into play for you. So as you know, as I say, I sit in trance. And when I do this, as you've witnessed on the shows, I relax into it. I have no idea who's going to come through and what they're going to say. However, ahead of doing that trance session, I trust. I set an intention that I'd like information to come through for the highest good of all the listeners and the viewers that are connecting with the content. And then I simply trust and allow the communicators to blend their frequency with mine. And obviously, I set up recording equipment to record this for the show. And I simply align and trust and allow it to come forward. And as many of you have witnessed, my voice changes and it can emulate the characters, the communicators that are blending and coming forward with me, through me, should I say, in order to bring this information. And for me personally, I have no idea who's going to come through, what voice they have, what they're going to talk about, All I'm simply doing is I'm relaxing into my safe, comfortable place, almost as if I'm going into a deep meditation. And I feel that build up from spirit around my physical body. And once I feel it build up, I take a big, deep breath in and I slowly breathe out through my mouth. And that is usually at that point where spirit leap through me with their words. And from that point on, I'm just in this safe space, in this meditation type mode, feeling calm, feeling relaxed. And all I hear, sometimes I hear information, sometimes I don't. Mainly, I don't hear anything other than bar, 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 bar. I can't make out any words. It sounds like, when you're underwater and you hear a noise when you're underwater. Sometimes it sounds like that. Other times I don't hear a thing. It depends on the strength of the communicator and where I'm at in my safe space. But 9 times out of 10, I don't hear what's been mentioned, which is interesting because it makes it even more exciting when I listen to it, when it is put into the show, because I'm like, oh, wow, did that come through? Did Spirit say that? Wow, listen to that voice. So I'm surprised probably as much as you are when you're listening to it placed in the show. But also when you sit in trance, if you have someone there monitoring you, your mannerisms can change, your facial expressions can change, your face can actually completely change as you can be overlaid by the communicator as they're stepping forward. And I've seen this happen many times with people that I've witnessed doing trance mediumship, and it's nothing to be scared at. It's quite a beautiful experience. The level of effort that goes into that from behind the scenes is phenomenal, and it continues to amaze me and impress me every time I do witness this. But it does take, as I say, lots of trust, lots of patience, and there'll be sessions, as I've said earlier, when you're sat in trance and you're willing and wanting things to come forward and maybe a different voice, and nothing comes forward at all. Don't be disheartened. Don't be put off by it, because you are adding to the energy that you're bringing forward. You're blending, allowing yourself to blend with frequencies and different beings that are wanting to come forward, and they're getting that healing right within you and removing some maybe belief systems or blocks that's stopping this connection from occurring. So don't for a minute think that nothing's happening, even though you're not recording anything or bringing any spirit spoken word through. On an energetic level, I guarantee there's a lot happening behind the scenes. So have faith, have patience, trust the process. As I say, don't rush. It's a gentle blending. It can take many years. It depends on the circle that you're sat in, because when I started in a trance mediumship development circle, and we would sit every week for a numerous amount of years. And it took some time to build that energy up until we got communicators coming forward. But whilst you're sat in that circle, and I would encourage you to maybe start off in a trance mediumship circle or development circle, the energy collectively that you all bring to the party, so to speak, you will be healing, you will be up-leveling your vibration, and you'll be blending your energies as a circle. And in doing so, it will form more energy for spirit to use to come forward and to stay in this dimension for longer periods of time, to bringing those communicators forward. One of the trance mediumship circles that I was in many years ago, there was many times that, we'd sit in the circle and there'd be only one of the mediums that would be the main medium that would bring forward the communications. Yet the rest of the group would form that energy battery. They would bring in all of that beautiful frequency and energy, that blending energy for those spirit communicators to come forward. Without that cohesive element, those spirit communicators wouldn't have been able to come forward in the magnitude and clarity that they did. So even if you're sat in a trance mediumship circle thinking, well, nothing's coming forward, I'm not doing anything, what you will experience is you'll feel yourself being knocked in and out of consciousness as that energy is used from you, like I say, like a battery. And you will also have the opportunity to ask these communicators that come through other mediums in the circle very deep questions. And this is an important role, I feel, when you're in these circles, so that people can have a greater understanding, and the information that is coming forward is going to help guide and heal. And it's going to make you feel part of that experience by asking these questions. And it doesn't matter how crazy the question, Spirit will always find a way of answering you, even if they have to go back to either somebody that is of a higher realm or a higher learned understanding. They will go back and they'll come forward in that communication and deliver the information for you. So it's a wonderful, wonderful world, a wonderful experience, shall we say, channeling spirit and working with spirit. So I would say, if you're wanting to do this, then obviously get those firm foundations in place. Don't just think, I'm going to do trance mediumship tomorrow. That would be totally irresponsible and the wrong thing to do. You do need to build up this level of confidence, this respect, in a circle of some kind, in a development circle, to get to this level that I'm speaking of. But once you arrive there, and again, it doesn't happen overnight, it can take years. It is such a privileged position to be in. And I, for one, feel so blessed and grateful that Spirit have aligned with my vibrations and allow these communications to come forward to help guide, inspire, and heal the collective. And that, to me, is just a beautiful thing in itself. So I hope this conversation has given you something to think about and consider with channeling spirit or trance mediumship as well. We're now going to be moving into the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling from spirit. But slightly ahead of doing that, I'd like to check in with you all, see how you are doing. What have you been up to? If you're like me, have you been feeling that desire to get out into nature? What is generally termed nowadays, I believe, as forest bathing. This is what I've been doing the past few weeks. I just felt that inclination to get out there, just to be present, to be in the vibration of nature, in the middle of woodland. In fact, I've recently just been in the middle of Sherwood Forest, and I tell you what, that was so healing, so transformative, and it was just a blessing to be there. Such a wonderful place. So I've been experiencing that. I just wanted to put that out there and see if anybody else had been feeling that call to nature. Maybe this is helping us to realign, to release the old in order for the new to come forward. And also maybe it's to anchor our energy in these trying and testing times that we're all witnessing globally as well. So yeah, just trust your instincts if you're feeling that urge to get out in nature, because it will be to serve your highest good and to cleanse and heal your vibration so that you can flourish and grow on your new timelines moving forward. So like I say, we're now going to move into the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdoms and communications forward. So sit back, relax, take some notes if you wish, and enjoy this week's channeling.
It's grand to come through and talk to thee. My name is David Edward Sylvester, and I've come forward to talk to you primarily about you and your ascension. All those that are listening will have experienced this in varying forms. A lot of you have been going through dramatic changes in your life where it feels like things are coming to an ending. And we want to tell you not to despair, not to worry. This is intentional. It's because you're changing vibration and you're moving towards a new chapter in your life. Also, a lot of you will be experiencing periods of, shall we say, inactivity, nothing happening. And this is, again, intentional, because a lot of you need to clear the way in your vibration, in your mind, in your thoughts. A lot of you have been thinking rather negatively. And so having these periods of inactivity in your mind, in your consciousness, allows these thoughts to go and to be cleared, and for new intentionalized vibrations to be interwoven into your consciousness and your awareness. A lot of you are going to experience life on a new level, because where you've said no in the past, you're going to start and say yes, and you're going to have that playful curiosity and wondering, where is this going to lead me? What adventure am I going on now? And we say, just trust and enjoy the journey. You do not have to know every single point of entry of your life, because if you were to do so, what would be the point of going through that? There would be no point at all, would there? You may as well just listen to what we have to tell you, and then just listen and not do anything. This is about doing. This is about moving into new vistas in your timeline and saying yes and having that playful curiosity. And as a result of that, you're going to have some tremendous life experiences where life is going to change dramatically for you, because opportunities are going to find you. And we say this playfully because these opportunities have never been anywhere else. They've always been around. It's the fact that you've put the brakes on. You've put the obstacles in front of yourself to stop yourself from observing these marvelous opportunities and abundance in your life. And now that you've shifted timelines, moved on to a different vibration, you'll start to notice opportunities, and rather than let them go through your fingers and you ignore them, this time round you're going to say, yes, let's give this a shot, let's give this a go. And in doing so, tremendous things are going to occur in your timeline. We want you to know as well that some of your friendship circles have come to an end. And we don't wish to sound negative in saying this. We're telling you this because some of you listening to this will find that you're having periods of alone time, and maybe those contacts that you once knew aren't readily available to you like they once were. And we say that this is also done by design, because you have shifted energy, you've shifted frequency, and so have those people in your, shall we say, vista. And so those energies do not align and match anymore. So there has to be a period of time of adjustment. And this is what's happening, where you are adjusting to these new vibrational frequencies. And when you come into that alignment, you'll begin to notice that new people will start to enter your life. And again, this has been done by design to the point where it may appear like there's a coincidence, but we say no, synchronicities are at play, and you'll be exactly where you need to be, exactly at the right time. And the people that are coming into your life will be genuine souls, will be there because they match your vibration. You will still have lots to learn on your journey in all aspects of your life, including personal relationships, including friendships, including colleagues and associates. There's lots to learn. And also your environments are going to change. As a result of your energy changing, so must your surroundings. It must match your vibration. So watch out of hearing on the grapevine about various opportunities in relocating, on getting the environment that blends and matches with your vibration. We wish to conform and to tell you, come forward and tell you that there's no need to worry about any financial endeavors or a lack of anything. We want to tell you that this new phase you're moving into is a phase of abundance where all of your needs are met at the exact time and place. There'll be moments where you will be noticing that you will be triggered by not having the exact amount you need at that time, and we say it will come into you when you least expect it. So have a little bit of faith, a little bit of trust. It is changing as we are changing communicators. We're making a different blend. So do forgive us as we come forward with a new communicator. There we go. And so what we're suggesting to you is we're going to make life a little bit more fruitful for you, where life can be governed by vibration and communications. Now, a lot of you will be going, as we say, through these dramatic changes, and some will feel quite low or depressed or negative because of the loss of what once was is no longer there anymore. And we say, don't worry about it. We have bigger, better things for you. Don't stay comfortable in your lives, in your vibration. Have a sense of wonder and curiosity, because that is going to serve you well. It's going to manifest and bring forward wonderful opportunities to you. And we want you to take these leaps of faith in moving forward. Most of you will be noticing that people will be backing away from your vibration. And again, this is not you personally. It is the energy that you are emitting. It causes a trigger reaction on those people that come in contact with you. Some people can adjust to it. Some people can accept it. Other people are simply repelled by it because it intimidates them. It makes them feel uncomfortable. It makes old energies of their own come up to the surface, and they have two choices, whether to go through that or to let it go, or to continue on that pathway. That's three choices, isn't it? Well, our arithmetic has never been our strong point, but nevertheless, we hope you get our point in illustration by communicating in this way. We also would like to tell you about your environments in which you live in. As we say, they're going to change and they're going to match your frequency. So please, please, please do not feel down and depressed about this changing, because as you learn and as you expand and as you grow, you are going to be met with beautiful energy that's going to be very successful for you. For those of you that are listening, we want you to know that you're going to show a very strong interest in your physical, mental, and emotional health. And in fact, this will be your priority, to get all of these things in divine balance. Because once you feel that you are in balance, then everything around you harmonizes to that frequency. If you are not in balance, then obviously everything will be harmonized to that frequency. So no matter how positive or negative you are, what you are emitting will be reflected back to you. So it is your choice and your choice only which you wish to vibrate on, but we assure you that it will be a lot easier for you if you are to trust, take that leap of faith and move forward by saying yes, and let the no's of life be a distant memory to you. Because although it has served you to some respect in your life, many respects it has been holding you back and keeping you stagnating in your life and causing that level of upset and frustration. It's now time, as you enter this new season of your life, to thrive, to flourish and grow. Despite all of the news locally, globally being broadcast to you of a negative slump in the economy and people's existing on different vibrations, different levels, despite all of that information, we implore you to focus in on your own divine truth. And when you do that, you will get everything you need at the right time, at the right place. And in fact, there will be a lot of people that will be questioning you and asking, well, I'm going through this situation. Why aren't you going through it as well? And you can explain the process in which you're remaining harmonious with your vibration. Some people may laugh and scoff and say, well, that seems like too much hard work. You did that. Or some people may say, you just did that and all this happened. You say, yes, of course. Everything is aligned and balanced in my life. And they will try and have a go and emulate you the best way that they can. But some of them won't find it easy because of those limited thoughts and belief systems. And we say that you too at some point went through this level of evolution. So do not chastise, do not belittle them, just support them, give them that help and guidance when they need it, because you also have been through this process. And unfortunately, this is the way through. You have to go through it rather than avoiding it. Only avoidance, you end up in the same old peak and trough, if you understand our meaning. But we'd like to thank you with our hearts for listening and engaging and sensing the vibrations of upliftment in our communications today. We want to give you all the best of love and healing and gratitude, and know that you are always supported by us in the world of spirit, even though there will be times where you feel alone and as if the world is against you. And we say this is not against you. You are simply aligning with your highest timeline, and that is a higher purpose than the surroundings in which you are observing. So trust that inner calling and listen with your heart rather than the busyness of your mind. Thank you for engaging in this beautiful energy exchange, and we look forward to communicating with you at some level in the nearest of futures. Take our love and our healing. Goodbye for now.
What an incredible transmission there from the world of spirit. I find that fascinating how one communicator blended into another one. Nevertheless, I thought their message was absolutely amazing, talking about the ascension and moving into a new chapter of our life and clearing the old in order to make space for these new elements to come into our life. Now, I'm sure, like myself, many of us are saying, yes, it's about time as well. So it's nice to have that confirmation from spirit with this. And also to hear that new doors of opportunity are going to be entering our life. And so with this being the case, don't shy away from that energy that's pulling us towards these new opportunities that perhaps in the past we've said no to out of fear, out of obligation. This time it's nice to have that go ahead. And it's also fascinating to hear that direct from spirit that life's working out for us as new opportunities are now being made available to you, which is incredible. I don't know about anybody else that's listening to this, but me personally, I've gone through lots and lots of things, and things don't tend to work out, and then they come in and then they go, but it's nice to hear that these new things are coming in, and fingers crossed they're going to stay for us all as well. Also, feeling into life will take us where we need to be rather than overthinking, overanalyzing. And maybe that's the problem, that a lot of these things have always been around us from day one. It's just the fact that we put these blocks in front of ourselves to stop us receiving it. So moving out of our own comfort zones will enable us to connect with these new opportunities. And also, Spirit, we're talking about people will be moving from your vibration, maybe because they're not aligning with your vibration, they're feeling uncomfortable with your ascension codes that you've been receiving, but nevertheless, let them go with love, grace, and peace. All is good. And also, it's nice to know that life is going to be working out for us. And fantastic communication there from the world of spirit. We're now going to move into the next segment of show, which is this week's forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's forecast reading for the week commencing Monday the 4th of August 2025. Now, those of you that watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot cards. So what I'm about to do is just shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out for this week's forecast reading. It's very stubborn, so that will mean... Okay, here we go. So here is your card for this week's forecast reading. As I say, it's very stubborn. So I feel as though there's a message in that to stop you from being stubborn and look outside of the box. Stop following the old narrative and move beyond your own comfort zones. However, the feeling I'm picking up off of this card is the fact that this week you'll notice your life subtly changing. Those things that you've been anchoring for and wanting for such a long time are going to sneak their way into your life, and they're going to find the path of least resistance. So do watch out for these beautiful things entering your life. Also be aware of your gut sensation this week. I do feel as though there's going to be a little bit of digestion issues. I feel this is nothing medical. I feel as you connecting to the energies around you as these energies are changing. Just persevere with it and it will change within 2 to 3 days. So by Wednesday of this week, you'll be feeling much more balanced and ready and fit. Also, I want to say this week, listen out for those Chinese whispers, so to This is the end of the free version of the weekly forecast reading. If you would like to see the entirety of this week's forecast reading, then you can do that by subscribing. And as a subscriber, what you will receive is the full version of the weekly forecast reading. You will also receive the audio for the weekly radio show, and also you'll receive 10% off all of my spiritual services there. So this includes all of the readings there for you to benefit from. And also you will receive new updates and information and news of what's happening with myself and the services that I provide, and also the events that I take part in. You'll hear all about that ahead of everybody else. And this is because you're a subscriber to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. So you can find a link either above or below this video, where by clicking on the link, you can then become a subscriber to reap all of the benefits that I've described to you. So I look forward to having you on this journey with me as a Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium subscriber. Thank you for taking time to watch this video and supporting the work that Spirit and myself work together in doing so. It sounds like we're in for a very transformative week ahead, doesn't it? Listening to part of that for forecast reading. If you would like to hear the full version, as the advert suggests there, you can be a subscriber to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. Just click on the links above or below this transmission and you can do that. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's show. I hope it's given you some insight, some inspiration, some guidance, some support, and also it's changed the way that you look at life and the way that maybe you perceive life. So thank you for tuning in. As always, I'm very, very grateful to everybody that listens every week. Can I also ask of you, if you have any questions for the show, if you'd like us to maybe do a show around your question, or you'd like some clarity on various aspects of either self-help, spiritual development, paranormal investigation, or anything like that, then do drop me a message. You can do this by going over to my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, messaging me there, or you can email me at glennboddice@live.co.uk. As ever, it would be an absolute honor and a privilege and a pleasure to correspond with you and listen to your feedback on the show, and if you're enjoying it, if you're not enjoying it, but it would be nice to have your feedback nevertheless. So you can do that there. Also, can I remind you all, we spoke about earlier on in the show about myself doing a little bit of forest bathing. This is where you immerse yourself out in nature in the middle of woodland. Now, you don't necessarily have to be walking if you have trouble with your mobility, because the other week I parked up in the middle of a car park in the center of a forest, and the weather wasn't great. It was absolutely siling it down with rain there. And I said to my guides at the time, I really, really want to go out into nature and soak up these vibes and reset my vibrations and ground and all of that. And my guide said at that moment in time, well, Glenn, you've got a camper van. Just get in the back. You're in the center of the forest. Just lie down, turn off your electronic devices and just absorb the energy. Close your eyes, focusing on your breathing, slow the breathing down and just immerse yourself in the vibrations of nature. And I says, well, will that work? And they said, of course it will. You're in the center of the forest, man. Just trust. And so that's what I did. And I had a very transformative experience. So if you are feeling that magnetic calling, that attraction to nature, and the weather's a bit sus and maybe not too great to go out in, still go anyway. And do this in your car. Just chill out, relax, and absorb those frequencies. I guarantee you'll feel the benefit from doing that. So anyway, I'd like to wish you all a wonderful week ahead, and I look forward to your company, same place, same time, next Monday at 4 p.m. God bless. Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium